All right, welcome back to part 2 of Gatekeeper Media, covering me, Andrew Fish, mic'd up at Iron Hill. If you missed us in part 1, go back and check it out. Otherwise, here we are on hole 10. This is a par 5. It's kind of soft as par 5s go. It's actually played as a 4 with a slightly shorter pin position in the NT last year. I still kind of play this as station to station. I'm going to play some boring golf and just throw a comet up the middle. I want to push the back edge and then draw it a little bit left at the end. I didn't really push the back edge, but there's a lot of fairway up there. It's pretty generous, so I should have a decent shot from there. It's a matter of like what the footing is like. As we get into the back 9, I think it tends to score substantially harder than the front, just because like the last couple holes are really demanding. I think the par 3s are a little harder. And Iron Hill is a course that like suckers you in. You're not really going to get a whole lot of birdies. So far I've stayed bogey free, which is great. But it's a mental grind to be able to like shake off mistakes. I can think of, you know, a couple of blown chances on the front that would have me in a much better spot. So like getting into the back here is so much about like just mental fortitude and not getting bogged down in throwing so many shots. This is about ideal. It's a little squishy here. So I don't want to select something that's going to make me like have to really plant hard. I'm at a distance where I could get maybe a jump putt if I hit the line perfectly, but it doesn't shape especially well for me. So I think my move is to throw a stable comet and have it carrying a little bit over and right of the short pin, because I want to have a very easy in fairway approach for my to have a chance at the 4. A little bit of plane change here. So like really be confident in my footwork is what I want to go into the shot thinking about. That's going to be too far left. It's probably on the edge. I think I'm going to have to like reach out and throw a forehand from there. Stable Comet was the right disc choice, but that came out with a little bit too much hyzer. I remember when I started playing here, this was a very claustrophobic lane. And now you can kind of see that there's some paths out there and there's not a whole lot of underbrush on the right side. I sort of wish that that's going to be allowed to grow back. And from what I've heard from Jimmy McIlvaine, the course designer, they're going to let it. It would make it, you know, kind of more punishing if you don't execute the shot and stay in the fairway. But I guess I said I was going to play boring golf, and here I am off the fairway. That ironwood is maybe 15 to 20 feet short, so that's a good spot to want to land. Yeah, that'll putt. That felt way more controlled than the previous shot. You know, same disc on hole 9. So I need to kind of explore that, figure out what makes these approach forehands like confident and controlled versus like a little bit forced and tense. Not bad at all. I'll take a 20-footer for birdie on every hole in the world, I think. If I get a steady diet of those, I'll score okay. That's kind of just what you have to do on this hole. Go get a 4. Don't get in bad trouble. This is a par 4 that plays kind of net straight. Off the tee, it's really important to get through the first gap. And then you want to draw the disc a little bit right. The best place to land is like finishing hard left at the end. So I'm going to go force. This is anything but boring golf. I used to just go with an undertaker and I would hit this gap, you know, 90% of the time probably. But it just like wasn't getting me far enough or far enough left to have an ideal upshot. So definitely evolved my play on this over the last 2 years or so. Lightning bug. Didn't get over. Boy, what a disaster. Like, it came out 10 degrees off of what it was supposed to. Again, like, I'm playing the luckiest round I've ever played at Iron Hill, and did not pay for that hardly at all as it lands on the short tee box. I don't think I'm going to get up and down from here, so it's important that I break off as much as I possibly can. I think the way to do that is to throw a hyzer flip up the right side. And I'm going to try to do that with a crank, figuring like I'm accepting the same risk no matter which disc I choose going up that right side, and the crank has the best possible reward. Well, I did everything it possibly could. Well, damn. Might be a putt. I think the first time I saw Ricky play here, he threw something fast and overstable, and he had a jump putt on his second shot. And I guess it was kind of watching that. Like, obviously, he's super good and commits to his shots and throws further than I do. But that was a wake-up call in terms of like, buddy, you're gonna have to step it up if that's how if that's how other people are attacking this and scoring well. It's hard to have that mentality, at least for me. It's hard to have that mentality 18 holes in a row, especially after, you know, if you screw up once, like it's kind of in your head that that's a possibility. So, you know, I'm trying to balance playing my game and throwing the shots that I can consistently execute, along with like trying to attack and be a little bit uncomfortable at times. All right. From here, flat green, there's not a whole lot in the way, but I definitely can't hyzer putt. So I'm gonna try to like start this on a touch of anhyzer and spin it so that it's not like falling to the left at the end. It was respectable. Still, like, just to be here after 2 shots where I was is pretty great. So now we get off of that hole that had a tight gap to begin with, and pretty sure 12 has got to be the tightest hole out here. It's very demanding the whole way. Okay, hole 12 is a par 4. It's going to go pretty severely dogleg left at like 280 feet. Boy, the first couple times I played this, I didn't have a good feel for what I wanted to do on it. And now I think the play is a fairway driver that I'm going to throw with a fan grip at like 70%, so that it like holds straight, bends a little bit right, and then gets back at the end. If I execute it really well, I'll get a nice skip, which is going to shorten the second shot considerably. But it's really important that I start it and then get it to draw right. Otherwise, if you pinch yourself before the dog leg, it's hard to scramble. And I found that like on this hole in particular, because it requires so much specificity, like I'll take more time on this than I usually do and like really try to be calm and like feel my back loosen up and like focus on a very specific spot that I'm starting the disc at. I didn't get over on it enough. I'm gonna get through. Yeah, that tapped out to a good spot. Boy, so I made a big mistake there of like not really planting my foot and just trying to run through it. So I was like guiding the disc through the gap instead of throwing it. All right, so based on that marker, I'm 252 feet from the basket. That's useful. And I've kind of got two choices here. I can take like a skinny little backhand where the reward is great, but I need to hit a 5-foot window 60 feet away from me. Or I can try to throw a flex forehand out here. I'm definitely going with the forehand because I probably have an equal chance of like getting it up there to the circle, but if I screw it up, I'm gonna get 60% of the way there instead. And I like that idea. I think I'm gonna go back to the jawbreaker zone because it's not super far, and I like the way it's gonna kind of slow ride to the left, even if I start it close to flat. That's pretty good. That's probably a circle 2 look. I'm guessing it's gonna be like 50, staring kind of downhill. So depending on what kind of line I have, I might be able to run it, I might not. And this set of trees was why I didn't want to go with a faster disc, even if it was, you know, kind of more overstable to play a flex. Because in order to get the disc like to the basket, it was going to have to pass through these. Yuck. In a tournament, I think I'd be laying this up, but you don't get mic'd up by Gatekeeper because you lay stuff up. So full steam ahead. When I see a putt like this, like my natural inclination is to be worried about the consequences. Like, can I fly by? Can I tap one of these trees and get left with a 40-footer? But it's kind of like once you make the decision to go for it, you have to go for it. Like there is no 50% run that works effectively. So I'm going to try to jam it in there, and if I have to make a comeback putt, then I have to make a comeback putt. Fade. Hit him. Get him. Now I have to make a comeback putt. Finish it. Finish it. All right. No harm, no foul. That was just a long layup. Okay, well, you kind of want to get one of 11 and 12, but pars are good. So let's move on to 13, 14. There's a couple par 3s back to back. Okay, hole 13, you'll notice that they poured this tee pad in a couple sections after a tree broke the front half off. It's a little bit of a squirrely line. I'm gonna throw a wasp straight, and the idea is it's stable enough that as it dies out, it's gonna float to the left. I'm just aiming for a tree that's straight down the middle. One year during the A tier, I hit it 3 rounds in a row. That was very frustrating because I hit what I was aiming at, so why don't I just aim at the basket? Yeah, hit it hard and make it move left. I ran through that shot again. It was the same thing I did on 12. Boy. So this is absolutely going to be a bad spot. There's no way around that. I missed the line. I made like a third of the distance I need to on a par 3. Up, up, and away. I look at this and all I see is like a little bit of open space up here, so I'm ripping a thumber. This is just bad all the way around. All right, make it hard for the next person to get over here, I guess. Whoa, hey, snake. So that's kind of cool. Nothing very frightening, just like a little brown snake. All right, so I'm throwing a thumber that I want to use some open space, get most of the way there. The longer I can keep it panning left, the better. But I don't know if I have a disc that quite does that, or if I have quite the line for it. Let's go here. It's pretty well executed, but when you're over here, you're just playing percentages and hoping. I managed to get, I guess, most of the way here. Still outside circle 2, but with a reasonably clean line. I really don't want a bogey, so I need to make some run at this, but it does slope off behind, so it can't be a spin type run. I think the way to do it is to like a little floaty anhyzer that I want to just kind of pan out and then like flop down by the basket if it misses. Still trying to make it, just like minimizing damage. I'm not sure I did any of that. This really shows, like the last couple holes show how difficult Iron Hill is to stay focused and stay on a hot streak. Because like I was scoring pretty good, but it wasn't the cleanest way. And now like I'm starting to miss some tee shots and having to really work just to get pars now. I want a 0-footer for bogey, not a 25-footer. All right, one bogey, survive. He was walking an awful long time, so I think this has got to be in the NT pin, about 425. I played this so badly during the NT last year, just like spraying off to the left to start, and then I think I took a 5 and a 4 or something. So today, I'm gonna throw this crank. Just like the hyzer flip has been working reasonably well, and that kind of shapes up well here because there's not a whole lot of room to work left and right. So let's try to get one. Really commit to this plant foot. If I haven't been doing that the last couple holes, then I need to make sure I'm focusing on it now to like right the ship. Really good release, plenty of hyzer. Yeah, that'll get back. Okay, I think I got through some stuff on the right late, but I'm up there on the green. Really, really pleased with executing that. Like, even if I don't hit this birdie, like I did what I meant to. 2016, I played the A tier here, and I was on a card with Drew Gibson, Ricky Wysocki, and Dylan Horst. And to this pin, it was like 380. I think I threw a Sidewinder, you know, like a 9-speed disc, and they all threw mid-ranges. it was a little disheartening. Boy, so this is the hazard of throwing a distance driver. Like, if I threw an Undertaker or Vulture or something, I'm probably not getting to the basket, but I'm definitely landing straighter. It's a little hairy. I think I can make an honest run at it, but it's got to kind of be like a spinny anhyzer that goes through a couple branches. So if I hit this pocket, it's pretty high. It's like a total backyard putt. Oh, rude. It felt good. Just like tag that coming through. All right, well, at least it's a par again. So I'm actually not sure which pin this is in. I think it's the NT pin, which is a par 3 kind of on top of the hill. It's such a weird shape to get there. Like a flex forehand would be the optimal way, but I think a backhand that is like flipping up can work too. I have a bad history with this hole. I remember, geez, I think 2014, I was battling with Mike Moser and Matt Dollar here and just like imploded starting on this hole, just like a couple bogeys and a double to finish. So like I've played this course so much that I've got a lot of like good memories stored up and that, you know, I can rely on to give me some confidence, but then every now and again something bad will kind of creep in unbidden of like a time that I screwed up from the exact same spot. With that in mind, I'm going to put a happy thought in my head. All right, that's way left. It might be a putt, but it definitely didn't have a chance of getting to the bucket. It was like hugging the inside, and what I think I needed was to push straighter towards these two trees that are in the middle on the right side of the fairway. It needs to be pushing those and then like dodging them just to the left while still flipping up. Just because of this tree and stuff and the way it shapes, I'm going to throw another flex forehand. A lot of room out to the left, so I'm going to go Buzz OS instead of the like straighter Jawbreaker zone. If I were Greg Barsby, I'd be putting it in right now. Instead, I'm me, and I threw it very short. That was bad commitment. It's really key to try to get a positive thought before I throw. And I think right there, when I was saying that Barsby would make this, I'm inviting the comparison between myself and him. And instead, I need to be like pumping myself up or focusing on what I'm going to do to execute the shot. It's hard to stay in that moment, even when I'm playing alone. And it's certainly hard when you're in a tournament and like everything is about score. So now I've got an inside the circle putt. It's like reset that, re-level, get back to what makes me successful as a player. So soft hole, it's still a birdie. This might be a nest. I think it is a nest. Doesn't look like there's anything in it. That's funny though. So by this point, par has been 59, which is, you know, kind of like a standard course, maybe even a little above that. So I really like what they did as a design aesthetic here to have the last 3 holes be really, really challenging and demanding. This one I think of a lot like hole 11 in that there's a narrow gap off the start. And I'm actually going to throw the same disc. I want to throw a force on an anhyzer, make sure I commit to that angle, and draw it right. There was a tree out there that was, I don't know, 2.5 feet in diameter that they lost a couple years ago that made it very possible to open up on this hole. We just lost a tree on hole 12 also. I hope it's the one that blocked me. So these last 3 holes are kind of a crescendo to the round. By this point, you are like, you should be questioning yourself a little bit from the designer's perspective. And from the player's perspective, it's like, I need to just, like, if I go par, 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 it's not that bad. Really commit to that Anheuser angle and my plant foot. I want a good clean release too. So, boy, that, I need to work on my Anheisers. There's some field practice to do, huh? That's really frustrating. I used to go with a really flippy disc here, like a crank or a thrasher, and started on a hyzer release. But I feel like there's a lot more distance potential throwing that Anheuser flex. And realistically, you know, I'm still using the shift, so I don't have like the full array of discs that I would want. I think in a tournament I would want to throw a force, but it would be a straighter one, not something that like has that much left action on the end of it. Even so, like, I got through the earliest part of the gap. Now it's like, how far did I push? Does it give me a chance at scrambling for a birdie or just scrambling for a par? My gap is here. The basket is there. So there would have to be a lot of action to get it there. I think in theory it's possible if I throw something like a vulture that I can push out there and like make sure I make this first gap, get back to the fairway and go off the right edge of the fairway. I know from experience there's a lot of airspace out there. It's not quite high enough, but I think the idea was right. So now I'm in the fairway, like less than 200 to the basket. It's probably a par. Whoop. Don't roll. All right. Once again, kind of saving a trash tee shot. Obviously I'm biased, but I think it's kind of a shame that there isn't a more robust tour, even if it was a regional tour, of like the woods monster courses in like Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. Like, you could do some incredible stuff by playing at like Tyler and Nakamixon and French Creek and Iron Hill and Seneca and stuff. If I have the time, maybe that's my next venture. Okay. Again, I said it at the beginning, like, pars are good, and if you go par, par, par on this stretch, you're in good shape. All right, 17. This is so hard. They've taken out like 12 trees and it's still so hard. Uphill, par 5. My objective here, I'm gonna throw a flippy undertaker and I wanna start it kind of right at Chris, the catch cam. And if I can get it to break right late in the flight, that's ideal. If I leave it too far left, it's gonna cut off some angles. All right, it's not quite flippy enough. If it taps right, tap right. We'll see. Like, I got all the distance I needed. It's kind of a matter of like whether I'll be able to attack twice for 4, or if I need to like be a little more conservative. This hole is so good. I really wish it was 18 on the course because like everything about it is epic. Like it's hard, it's visually appealing. It requires you to like execute throughout, and like there can be multi-stroke swings on it. And I would not be sad if a hole like this appeared on every course in the world. They did such an incredible job like with the concept and then executing it. So from here, I'd have to do something really, really steep with a backhand here. So I think throwing a flex forehand is the move. And I think I'm gonna do it with that. I'm gonna do it with a force because I've got a lot of room to work it. It's going to be important for me to like get it on anhyzer and stay there for a long time without stalling the disc. So like attentive to nose angle and like really drive it out there. Oh my God. I think every time I've talked about anhyzer, I have done nothing about it. Thanks, Gatekeeper. You're showing me what I need to work on to get back to playing shape. It's amazing, like walking back here and seeing all the stumps that I remember being, you know, functional trees, functional obstacles here. It was kind of like you didn't want to throw much past this on your second shot. If I go back to the fairway, I'm just like burning a shot. I can't advance to the basket really. So I think the move is to throw a thumber through here because like I've got good airspace, and try to get myself like up near that road. Really frustrating because that tee shot was great and I just squandered it by not, I don't know, it might have been the wrong disc, but it was definitely bad execution. Oh. Oh. It's in the middle. It's survivable. It's gonna take a good shot. Threw it right where I wanted it, but you know, didn't quite get the break on the end that I needed. I'm gonna throw an overstable challenger here. Get up. All right, on the hill is great. I've got a real chance at walking away with a 5 after kind of wasting 2 shots. Like, I can't get over like how great this hole is. As you come up here and see like there's a mound and they built awesome stone steps into it. I think this was an Adam Harris conception, which is, you know, I can say how much work it was, but I can't fully appreciate it. Had a bad thought. Let's get a good thought. All right. So another par. That's great. Round's wrapping up. I'm gonna catch you before you turn this video off and say thanks Discraft, thanks Upper Park, and thanks Gatekeeper for giving me the opportunity to be out here and film a mic'd up round at one of my favorite places. I hope you're enjoying this. Well, I'll give a little plug at the end, but yeah, thanks. Okay, hole 18, again, really hard hole. This is gonna go straight and then a slight dogleg to the left. The landing zone is incredibly specific. It's been my experience that you can try to like overdrive the landing zone with a distance driver or like try to take a fairway driver and do a like gentle flex. I'm I'm gonna go with a Vulture, in part because I just haven't thrown that force especially well today. I think in a tournament now I would be trying to rip a like less stable force and try to go far. Pretty good. If it goes far enough, it's great, but it also might be too left. We'll see. Like, I got the gap, I got good distance. I should be able to throw a second shot from there. I think this course is like, it kind of generates like really different perspectives from people. You either really love it because it is like so demanding from start to finish, but it probably scores kind of the same as, you know, a Maple Hill, but with a drastically different design aesthetic. You don't have the like Christmas tree farm. You don't have the ponds to play around. I think that in the context of what this is, it should be appreciated, and I'm glad that it's a part of the National Tour now. I hope that it encourages players to, you know, to come and diversify their skill sets, because it's so different than what most of the tour is right now. It's also a testament to the volunteerism in this region, because the park doesn't do a whole lot. It's mostly the maintenance of the locals who have kept this place alive and afloat. Yeah, this is definitely too far left. Like, in this lane would be the sweet spot to throw a hyzer up. This is a mess. Fishy rule number 18, don't go down the left side. There are no good lanes, I believe. So, like, deconstructing this round, I'm thinking of like some mistakes I've made. I missed kind of one putt that I should have made, and I screwed up a couple upshots, and then like in the middle of the round I wasn't very committed to my drives. I've also thrown like 7 or 8 forehands, which is way more than I ordinarily would, and I think I'm making that choice consciously to like integrate it into my game when I'm playing a scored round, not just as like a funsy or a field work shot. With that in mind, during a tournament, a forehand would definitely be the right play here. I'm going to go at this right side. There's a twin tree, and I want to go on a steep anhyzer to the left side of that. I'm going to throw a raptor, and the idea is to have it up there, and then as it glides out, get back toward flat. I really don't want it ever to be back on hyzer. Glide out. I did everything I wanted to, and apparently I need a more stable disc. Doggone it. It felt like a really clean release, and it hit like the spot that I was trying to target. All right, scramble. What? Okay. I mean, so you're saying there's a chance. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my main putter, a little flippier. And I think this anhyzer gap is the way to go, just because this is a little more cluttered in the middle, and I'd have to really punch it. This, I think I've got the airspace to let it work. Putts like this, like if I use my arm, it's a disaster. If I like think about integrating my lower body and my hips, I can actually get it to the basket with control. reasonable. Okay, well, that's going to be another par, I expect. So par, par, par to finish. All right, thanks again, Disc Golf fam, for following. Again, I really appreciate Gatekeeper Media coming out, giving me this opportunity to be mic'd up and play Iron Hill. Thanks to Discraft for making the most consistent plastic. Thank you to Upper Park for their support. I really appreciate all you guys do. I've got some Tour Series discs for sale. You can contact me on social media. Make sure you work with Gatekeeper as well to give them their support that they need to stay on the road and keep producing their good content. I know we kind of get suckered in by like the big channels, but this regional development is what really is going to drive the base of disc golf. So again, I appreciate it. Thanks, Gatekeeper. Like, fave, subscribe, share, and check out the next one. All right, take care.